Alright guys, so welcome to Roll to Win episode 4 in the post-game report. We had 12:50 game of Adam's Orcs versus Rob's Tau, and the Orcs came out victorious in the objective game.
Yes.
So Simon, how do you think the game went? I kind of like getting the outside perspective first.
Well for the Orcs.
Yeah.
Lots of bad rolling on Rob's part, but
This was like the game of bad rolling for Rob, like in every situation possible. I mean, he had some good luck kind of at the end with the reserves, and
my reserves were my best rolls. I got them both in when I needed them. They helped me eliminate the squad of boys as well as
bikes,
as well as the remainder of the bikes. So they were nice. But yeah, 4 rolls.
Yeah, it's just failed hits, failed leadership tests, like.
That's usually how the games come down to, right? One guy rolls really well, one guy not so much.
That's true. Yeah, it's just like the luck of the dice seems to always be at one person's favor more than the other.
Yeah, I was always hitting like the bottom of my averages, like I was saying. Like, I mean, if you were to math hammer everything out, sometimes when you have to split a die down the middle, I'd always go on the lower side, if not completely bomb it. At one point, my crisis commander, in a spectacularly statistic-defying show, I rolled snake eyes on my 2 1s on my armor save, and I rolled 2 6s on my leadership to see if I would flee, and then fled off the board. So I had just poor rolling all around. One thing though that I can't attribute to poor rolling, and it was definitely a turning point for me, was I definitely underestimated the number of shots. I had no idea that the bike squad could pump out 15 twin link shots in the beginning, and had I known that, my piranhas, flechette dischargers or no, would not have planted themselves in the way of the bike squad. I was planning on using them as like a bulwark.
True, and that was sort of just a spectacular rolls for Adam, like with the hits, with the pens, and then with the
it immobilized
table.
Yeah, it immobilized.
Yeah, but I mean, it was enough to destroy the 2 of them.
Yes.
I found that this game was kind of. It showed an aggressive playstyle versus sort of a defensive playstyle, and I think that's just sort of the thing for the Tau, is that they have to play defensively for the most part, especially in an objective game like this, where Adam deployed halfway up the table. He basically forced you into a defensive play the whole game, and I think that's what made you flee off the table. I mean, obviously it happened for your commander, but like having to play that close to your deployment zone line is going to be dangerous every time, and that was just sort of maybe an unwitting, but at least a very smart move for Adam's deployments to kind of force you back as far as.
But I mean, Orcs are always going to deploy as close up normally as they can.
They need to get up there and start, hammering in.
I mean, I wouldn't have had any choice. Like, I mean, there was no getting out of that for me. I don't think it necessarily hindered me though. Like, I mean, and the Tower are always going to like max out their range. Like, I'm going to be playing on the edge of the board a lot because I need to outrange your weapons, keep mine in range. Stealth suits need to keep distance on their enemies so to make use of their stealth systems. So.
But do you think it would have been almost better for you to like not stay near your edge, but rather hop around and kind of try to drag around the board, not necessarily near your table edge, but to hop around, use your mobility and range to try to pick them off?
Originally that was the goal, but unfortunately with the piranhas sort of going belly up there, it nixed my plans for mobility.
It's true, but that was sort of only in the center of the deployment. Like your Devilfish probably could have gotten away from that mob before.
They only would have ran into the bikers though. It was definitely something I had considered moving out. Like, the piranhas had to hold the bikers at bay. Because they weren't able to do so, and because my commander got tied up, those were designed to basically hold those or outright kill the bikes. And what I was trying to do originally, and it was even working, was draw Adam's forces into the corner and then using my Devilfish basically blast out of there and get as far away from the corner as possible, and like keep the Death Dread moving slowly towards me.
Yeah,
the war boss.
That was the kind of good thing that I noticed that you were doing this game, is making sure that Death Dread did not touch anything the entire game. It was sort of a waste of 100 points of items, but I mean at the same time it distracted you shooting from something else.
Definitely.
But it was just good plays on your part, dragging it around.
I was really hoping to do something with that Death Dread because it's the first time I've ever used it, and I was hoping to see what kind of damage it would pump out into anything. I was hoping actually, if the game wasn't going to end, to send it over and start dealing with like Rob's forces over at that one.
Yeah, as soon as it touched either of those squads, he would have tied them up the whole rest of the game. They couldn't hurt it. He would just kill them eventually.
I would just rip through them.
I was sort of hoping to use those barrels, paint pots, as something to sort of like keep away with it. And
the thing is, I'd be able to use my flamethrower over the pots.
Yeah, but at least you wouldn't be able to hit combat. Anyway, I think it was just sort of a deployment that screwed you a little bit with the Death Threat being not able to deploy in your zone, having to run it on from the edge. Same with the Burnas. It just sucks in that deployment zone, or that deployment type when you have such close range units.
However, I'm happy that my bikes were able to do.
Yes, bikes. For all that they died, I would say they were the kind of the star of the show for you. Same with the knobs. That's
man, those knobs were like.
I would say the knobs
put
more than
Rob
anything.
on his toes.
Yeah, like, 17 penetrating hits on the hammerhead,
which was again statistically like almost double the number of penetrating hits you should have.
Adam's lucky green orc dice.
So, I mean, I stand by my strategy. I think I had it worked out pretty good. My only real disappointment was not getting my hammerhead out fast enough. Getting my piranhas too close, and then rolling like a
that piranha just not hitting, not piranha, the tank.
Yeah, well, I mean, the hammerhead is just like routinely failing me, like that single shot. Mind you, that's what we have marker lights for. Mind you, it only increases ballistic skill by 1. I guess this is why people take.
And when you roll an 11 to drift, it's not really gonna help.
No, it's not. And I guess this is the reason why people take broadsides a lot of the time. They don't have the submunition, but it's a twin link shot. Yes. So I mean, first like on those, and because you can bring multiple broadsides, you're getting more than one shot. So when it matters, you get it, and it might be something that I really start looking into is trying some broadsides.
Did you find last episode we had? It was sort of Simon trying to deal with a horde type force with a smaller elite force. You had the same thing, maybe not quite to the same degree, but did you find that coming into the game that you had a good plan to try and deal with a horde, and did it? Well, I mean, it didn't quite work out just because of rolls, but did you find that you had a good plan and a good solid strategy to deal with something like that?
Like I said, I stand by my strategy. I mean, I tried to lure him into a corner. I set up a firing base over here with my long-range missile pods and hammerhead to try and force the shots on him. Unfortunately, I just wasn't able to keep his forces away from me. I wasn't able to stop the truck. I wasn't able to stop the bikes.
They were on a mission.
And I mean, those were the 2 fastest moving units while I was dealing with that. I couldn't stop the rest of his forces from walking up on me. So, no, I stand by my strategy. I just wish I would have rolled better.
That's how we all feel sometimes.
Yep.
Luckily, not this time for me.
Yeah. I got lucky with the orcs after sort of a bad luck streak with the wolves. You brought the orcs back and they romped like.
I'm just not doing good with those wolves, but like as soon as I play with the orcs, it's just like.
I think it's just you have to switch the playstyle because the orcs are a big horde force. You can throw models away and they die. And there's still enough left to hit combat. With the wolves, it's funny to call the Marines more of a finesse army, but in some ways they are because they're a smaller elite force. Sure, they're tough, but you can't throw anything away.
Yeah, once you start losing guys, you're like, I'm taking a pounding now. I gotta stop that.
I was really thrilled with the way the flechette dischargers worked.
Oh, man. Yeah, killing like 10 orcs in a round. 11, sorry.
No, it was 10 and the knob took it.
Either way, the flechette discharge is a 10-point discharge. It's easily making their points back. I say after this game, I still say they're underpriced and overpowered, but I think that's coming from a close combat perspective. I can see how Tau loves them.
Like, maybe if it was Space Marines like chasing into it, might not hit as hard.
Or maybe Space Marines.
Or Space.
But Simon and I were saying, like, rather than just being a straight up 4, we say it should be like a strength hit, like a strength 2, strength 3 hit, so that like it's not hitting everything on 4. So when the Wraith Lord charged it, it's still being wounded on 4s. That just seems kind of silly.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't really think about that. Especially for a flechette discharger, the Wraith Lord would be like.
How does that work against vehicles? Like against walkers, it just doesn't do anything at all.
No, there is a ruling for it. It's like a single strength something hits. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember what it is.
Either way, I think I'm going to petition GW to increase the point.
I might be wrong on that. I'd have to double check.
Just write the note, send it on.
I'm just going to write in Rob's Codex 30-point upgrade. Anyway, we're kind of going off on a tangent here, so I think we're going to cut this short. It's getting kind of late. We should all be heading to bed. But anyway, Adam's going on vacation, so next episode it should be the 3 of us. We might try and get a guest star on sometime. There'll be a game between, I think, Rob and I. So we'll try and see if we can get somebody in here.
See if the Tau can finally win a round.
Yeah, it's going to be Orc versus Tau version 2.0.
But the ones that shoot, not the ones that charge.
Yeah, it might get a little different.
You always play Chaos.
Nah, I'm
alright. Fought him once, but
anyway, so yeah, we'll try and see if we can get somebody else in here. But if not, then it will just be the 3 of us seeing you next time. So remember, guys, always play for fun, but roll to win.
Roll better than me.